Greetings, fellow dungeon delvers, and welcome to Dorans and Dragons. My name is Justin, and I'm going to be your guide to bringing your favorite League of Legends champions to life in Dungeons & Dragons. Today we're building Rammus, the Armordillo. Not much is known about Rammus other than he is likely an ascended being, whose mystery invites Sharimans to seek out his wisdom. He often appears to those in great need, and seems to only act as a benevolent force in the world. His list of great deeds are innumerable, and with the recent rise of Shurima, many wonder if Rammus will be cited more, but we'll never know because Riot is very stingy with Rammus lore. Before we get started with the build, go ahead and like the video and hit that subscribe button so you're always notified when we release our builds. We'd like to take a minute and thank our awesome patrons over on Patreon who support us every month. Thanks for helping us keep the lights on and life rolling on. If you like our videos and want to support the channel, come join us over on Patreon today for just $1 to get access to our awesome Discord community where we talk League and D&D all day long. Alright, now let's get into it. Here's a quick preview of the build. For race, we're going with Turtle. Per usual, our stats are going to be determined using the standard array. For our stat priorities, we're going to max strength and dump dexterity. We do have a multi-class requirement of 13 in strength. Our leveling path is going to be levels 1 through 5 in Barbarian, then 3 levels in Fighter, then back to Barbarian for 9 more levels, and finish the build as a Fighter. Rammus's passive, Spiked Shell, goes perfectly with our Battlerager armor. His Q, Powerball, is going to come from Battlerager Charge and Trip Attack. Our W, Defensive Curl, is a combination of Shell Defense and Spiked Retribution. His E, Frenzying Taunt, will come from Goading Attack. And finally we get our ultimate, Soaring Slam, from Earth Tremor. For race, we're going with Turtle to get our awesome shell to wrap some spikes around. For our ability score increase, we'll get a +2 to Constitution and a +1 to Strength. We'll also get some claws to deal 1d4 plus our Strength 1 slashing damage. Also, and I don't really know how often this will come up, but you can hold your breath for an hour at a time. Our shell is going to give us 2 features, Natural Armor, giving us a natural AC of 17, and Shell Defense, which is a defensive stance we can enter as an action. It'll give us a +4 to AC and give us advantage on strength and con saves. During this time though, your speed is 0, you have disadvantage on dex saves, and you can't take reactions. And our final racial feature is Survival Instinct, giving us proficiency in survival. For background, we're going with Hermit, which will give us proficiency in medicine and religion, and the Discovery feature. Discovery is one of my favorite background features, because it brings you and your DM together to find out a reason to bring you back into the world, whether it be some ancient prophecy or because your clash team needs a jungler. For stats, we're going for the balance Rammus maintains while rolling down the lane to murder unsuspecting laners with the standard array. Roll if you want to, but keep at least a 13 in strength for multiclassing purposes. We're going to start off with a high strength here so we can focus on our tankiness later. Constitution is going to be next for that aforementioned tankiness. Wisdom will be after that for all the sage-like advice Rammus has given, and to give our ult a chance to actually knock someone down. Charisma next for some intimidation, and because knowing just the right way to say okay is an art form that must be respected. Intelligence is going to be average, and we'll dump dexterity. For equipment, the only thing we'll need is our spiked armor to enable our Barbarian subclass, and we won't need any weapons thanks to our claws. Alrighty, we'll kick off the class portion of the build with some levels in Barbarian. Barbarians have that awesome D12 hit die, and will pick up proficiencies in athletics and intimidation. We get unarmored defense, but that won't apply thanks to our Turtle's natural armor and the Rage feature. Rage is a state we can enter as a bonus action that'll last for a minute and give us a bunch of benefits, like advantage on strength checks and saves, scaling bonus damage to our melee attacks, and resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage, which is perfect for Rammus. Second level Barbarians gain Reckless Attack, giving you opportunity to grant yourself advantage on all your attacks for a turn at the cost of giving everyone else advantage against you until the start of your next turn. You'll also get Danger Sense, giving you the ability to dodge skill shots by granting advantage on your dex saves when you can see the effect coming. Level 3 Barbarians choose their Primal Path, which is Barbarian's Beak for subclass. We're going for Path of the Battlerager, for their awesome spiked armor and the perfect recreation of Rammus in D&D. Now let's get the elephant in the room out of the way. It does say this subclass is for dwarves only. However, right in the description, it mentions your DM can absolutely lift this restriction if they'd like to. So underline that part and put the book up to their face, and point at it aggressively with that manic little gleam in your eye. Okay, great, your DM is a little afraid of you now, and is secretly calling the police. But what does being a total Battlerager do for you? Well, first, your spiked armor becomes your Battlerager armor, letting you deal 1d4 piercing damage with your armor spikes as long as you're raging. Plus, anytime you go to grapple a creature, you deal 3 piercing damage when you succeed. And spoiler alert, you have advantage on those thanks to your rage. 4th level Barbarians get the first ability score improvement of the build. As always, we're going to lay them all out for you here so you can pick and choose for yourself along the way. At Barbarian 4, we'll go with the Magic Initiate feat for Druids to get the Earth Tremor spell for our alt once per long rest. Earth Tremor shakes the earth in a 10-foot area around you, forcing a dex save on each creature and knocking them prone if they fail, and dealing 1d6 bludgeoning damage. At Barbarian 8, we'll get the Mobile feat, giving us a passive 10-foot increase to our speed, letting our dash ignore difficult terrain, and preventing opportunity attacks from any creature we've attacked for the rest of your turn. At Barbarian 12, we'll start maxing our Constitution with 2 points. Then at Fighter 4, we'll max it with another 2. And finally at Fighter 6, we'll bump our Strength score another 2 points for some damage and assistance with our grapples. Level 5 Barbarians gain 2 features, Fast Movement and Extra Attack. Fast Movement is going to be just another passive increase of 10 feet to our speed, bringing us up to 50 feet per turn, or 200 in a single turn when we hit level 10 in Barbarian. But we'll get to that in a bit. Extra Attack is going to let us take 2 swings with our claws per attack action instead of 1. Alrighty, now that we've gotten Extra Attack, which to me is a perfect jump off point into multiclassing, we'll take some levels in Fighter to get our Taunt and Knockdown on our Q. Fighters have a d10 hit die and give us no new proficiencies. We'll learn a fighting style, and there are 2 good options here thanks to Tasha's. Superior Technique is the one we go for in the build, which is going to give us an extra superiority die, and Battlemaster Maneuver, which we'll cover in a couple levels. However, while writing this up, I realized Unarmed Fighting would be a good call here as well, as our claws only deal 1d4 damage, but with that you'll be able to upgrade your attacks to 1d8 bludgeoning instead. I won't begrudge you for either path you take, but I would personally want an extra taunt per rest if I was playing Rammus. Our final level 1 fighter feature is Second Wind, letting you use a bonus action to heal yourself 1d10 plus your fighter level and hit points once per rest. Standard disclaimer to use this before you spend any hit die on a short rest. Second level fighters get Action Surge, letting you push yourself to the limit once per rest to take 2 actions on your turn instead of 1. You have a lot of cool options for this, including barreling in with Battlerager charging as a bonus action, dashing as your actual action, then leaping in, action surging, and casting Earth Tremor to scatter all the enemies in your path. Level 3 fighters choose their martial archetype, which is just developer fancy talk for subclass. As spoiled earlier, we're going with the Battlemaster for their awesome maneuvers. Combat Superiority is going to give us a pool of 5d8s to work with, thanks to Superior Technique, and some maneuvers to use them with. The 2 main maneuvers we're concerned with is Goading Attack for our Taunt, and Trip Attack for our Q. Goading Attack is going to force a Wisdom save on the target of our attack, giving them disadvantage against all targets other than you until the start of your next turn. Trip Attack is going to force a Strength save on your target, knocking them prone if they fail. Now in the case of both maneuvers, don't forget to roll your superiority die and add the number to your damage in both attacks. Alrighty, now that we've gotten our E, let's go back to Barbarian to get the speed for our Q and the rest of our W. We're going to get an early version of that speed boost with Instinctive Pounce, letting us move half of our speed as part of the bonus action we take to enter our rage. We'll also get Feral Instinct at this level, giving us advantage on our initiative rolls and letting us ignore surprise rounds as long as we enter our rage on the first turn of combat. At Barbarian 10, we'll get the much better version of our Q with Battlerager Charge, which will let us take the dash action as a bonus action as long as we're raging. Meaning, we can move 50 feet, dash 50 feet for our action, bonus action dash another 50 feet, and then action surge dash for another 50 feet, giving us 200 feet in a single turn. Now, I have no idea why you'd ever actually need to do it, but Lord forbid someone try to actually outrun you. And finally, at Barbarian 14, we'll get the damage portion of our W with Spiked Retribution, making all melee attackers incur 3 piercing damage as long as you're raging and wearing your spiked armor. It's not quite Thornmail, but it's close enough. Alright, now that we've completed the build, let's see how we did. First, the good. We've got Turbo Chem Tank with a Pocket Yumi vibes with how much speed we're going to be able to pump out. On top of that, we're solid as a rock on the tankiness perspective, with a massive health pool and a 21 armor class when we pop into our shell. Now the bad. Honestly, other than possibly having to argue about the racial restriction, I absolutely love this build. The only other thing I would criticize is your ult is kind of lackluster, but with how well the rest of your identity is represented, I would call it an acceptable loss. So what'd you think? I've included a link to this build via D&D Beyond in the description below, as well as Amazon links to the books used in this build. If you enjoy this type of content, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We have a few awesome rewards, and you get access to our great Discord community. We plan on churning out one League Champion build every week. Thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you on the Rift, or in the Forgotten Realms.